Welcome to the Next Step Recovery podcast. We call this more than recovery because addiction is so much more than just getting clean from our addictions, our strongholds. It's really finding our purpose in life, and that's what we're here for each and every day. I like to say that we have three purposes here at the Next Step Recovery podcast. The first purpose is to encourage people, to encourage those who are struggling in their addiction or just in life. It doesn't have to be an addiction, it could be anything. So we want to encourage you. Number two, we want to educate you. We want to help you help other people. We want to help you help others. And then finally, we want to expand our reach. We want to expand our impact. We want to expand our partners. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to a great show.
Hey, today I got Matt Tyson, and Tyson is spelled T-H-E-I-S-E-N.
It is. All right. It's not T-Y,
not Mike Tyson,
no,
but Matt Tyson, spelled completely different. And Matt is my good friend. Known Matt for 10 years or more. His family goes to church with us, and he goes to church with us. He's on staff here at the church as a facilities guy. He's got a shirt on that says facilities.
Oh, yeah.
So we know what he does around here. And but Matt's got a great story, man. I just love this guy to death and have enjoyed watching him grow, change, gain weight. I'm just kidding with him, because when you came back to us, when did you come back here?
December 2017.
2017,
Mm-hmm.
right? 2017 is when you came here from Atlanta, right?
Monroe, somewhere up there.
Up in that area. Yeah, you were living up a little bit north of us here. And when you came back here, because you had been here for several years prior to that, trying to get clean, trying to get straight, up and down. Then you left and you kind of went crazy a little bit, I think. Yeah. So tell me about that time, Matt. Tell me.
The time when I went crazy?
Yeah, that time when you kind of left. You were here for a while, left. And then you came back. And I remember when you came back to us after that time, that 5 years or so, you came back here. I remember seeing you walk in the church doors right down the hallway here.
Yeah.
And man, you would look wild-eyed and crazy, and you were in a different world.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to kind of go back a little bit further, I got saved in 2013.
Yep. I remember that.
Yeah, you led me to Christ.
Right.
I was listening to Tom Farrell. He's an evangelist. He's in heaven now. But 2013, I got saved.
Yeah.
And I was living for God. I was on fire.
Yep.
And my sister and brother-in-law they moved to New Mexico in 2015.
I remember that.
And I used them as my safety net. And so when they moved away, the safety net was gone because my safety net was in the wrong thing. And that's when I spiraled out and I went crazy. And it's crazy because when I did drugs when I was younger, then when I relapsed, I went harder than I did before I stopped the first time. I was very addicted to the uppers. I was addicted to the stuff that gave me the energy.
Yeah.
I always wanted to feel my heartbeat. I always wanted to be crazy.
Go.
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And it's crazy because I don't need it. I mean, I look at me now and I'm sober and I'm already go all the time.
Yeah.
But it was 2017 in February where I got into a fight with somebody because I decided to mess around with a woman who had a child with another man and was still in a relationship with that man.
Yeah.
I broke my nose because I decided to get into a fight with this person. And then a month later, he put sugar in my gas tank. And so now I have a broken nose. I have no car.
Wow.
I decided to spend all my money on drugs. So no money for power, no money for food. So now I'm living in an apartment with no power. I have no car. I have a broken nose. And I decide to move to Locust Grove.
Living the dream.
I moved to Locust Grove and I become homeless. So to recap, broken nose, no car, no apartment, nothing.
Wow. Homeless, living on the streets. Yeah.
Thankfully, I had a phone, and it was at that time that my sister Sarah and her husband moved back to Georgia a month prior.
Right.
And in December, I came back here weighing 167 pounds.
Yeah, what do you weigh now?
When I came back, 325 pounds.
Yeah, so there's two of you now compared to what?
There's two of me now. But that's when I came back was late December, like just before Christmas of 2017.
Wow.
Yeah, and I still remember it. It is etched in my, there's some things that you get etched in your memory, right? And I still remember you walking through those doors and you were wearing some crazy, like red, white, and blue American flag outfit or something.
It was something that would fit me now.
Yeah.
Being this big, but it was very big when I wore it then.
And I think you had these sunglasses on, and and you were wild. And I remember thinking, wow, man, it's been a long time since I've seen Matt. And so you came back here and moved in with Sarah and Matt. Is that correct?
I did. Yeah, they gave me a couple of stipulations to move in with them right away. They said I have to try to get into the military, so I would start to pursue that. I had to be in church every single time the doors were open. And that's back when we had the Tuesday night meetings at the church. So I'm here at church 4 or 5 days a week.
Right.
And then, of course, I had to stop using drugs and alcohol.
Right.
And I had to do those stipulations. And the first 3 months was the worst 3 months of my entire life. I mean, detoxing from everything cold turkey.
Yeah.
I was an awful human being.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah, your body's craving and demanding things and not responding well to that.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you're busy trying to do all these things that you really don't want to do. And so it's a tough time. It's a tough, detox is a hard time. And then when you're also having to do these other things, it becomes very difficult.
Yeah.
You can't do it alone.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, so what happens there? So time moves along, and I think you finally got a job. You're working at Geico, and doing some things. Okay.
Well, I think, and then in between that time, I was wrestling with my salvation, and it's crazy because you think when you get saved that like you're going to be a completely different person, 100% right then, like you don't have God's got it, and so I was wrestling with my salvation because how could I be doing the things that I was doing and still say that I profess the name of Jesus? How can I do that?
Yeah.
And so I wrestled for that for a long time, battled some demons within just to come to realize that I did get saved in 2013 listening to Tom Farrell. And that's when I was able to realize that I'm worth more than what I was living. So I applied for Geico, got a job I never thought I would get in an office. I got my GED. I've never been the type of person to want to sit behind a desk, do anything. So I got a job at Geico selling insurance, worked there for 3 years. And then COVID hit.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Go home.
Yeah.
Go work from home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me back up for a minute though. I like, you said I had to realize that I was worth it. Right. I'm saved. I'm a child of God, but sometimes I still struggle with whether I'm worthy or not. Right. And it's funny that, that even though God loves me so much, my mind and my thoughts still go to a dark place for some reason, and we get these doubts and we get these, and the world out here is a cruel place, and the world's going to feed us all day long. That's why I say, you can't pay a whole lot of attention to this world out here, right? You gotta make sure that your relationship with the Lord is priority, because this world's going to beat you up and it's going to tell you things that aren't true. And so you're worthy. Why? Because God says you're worthy.
Oh, of course.
Right.
I had to come to the realization, I came up with a thought, which was, I wish I could see sin the same way God does.
Yeah.
But then I had to be reminded that I wish I could see myself the same way God does when I get saved, and that's redeemed.
Right.
It took me a long time to realize that I am redeemed.
Right. That's good. Yeah. When God sees you, he sees Jesus.
He sees Jesus.
Right. Yeah. And we got to remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good. So COVID hits. What happens?
COVID hits, and I work from home, and I quickly realized that I'm the kind of person that I can't be alone and thrive for Jesus. It was when COVID hit that I started to closet drink. I started to drink just to make it through the day.
Yeah, right.
And that's one of those things where it's like I'm not worthy enough. I don't feel like I can do this. Which obviously I could with Christ, but I wasn't using Christ to deal with it.
So my emotions and my feelings are going to lead me in a direction sometimes that are contrary to reality, right? So I start to believe things that are not true. And that's why we got to be very careful with our emotions, because our emotions, if they're not grounded in Christ, our emotions will lead us to some dark places.
Oh, yeah.
And our emotions will lie to us many, many, many times. And And so that's kind of what was happening with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't feel a certain thing.
And I didn't learn any of that until later. I started meeting with a life coach once a month.
Yeah.
And when I was meeting with this life coach, first question he asked was, how hard do you want to go? Yeah. And I said, as hard as we need to go. I want to get to the root of the problem. And every month I was learning something new about myself that I was doing. One of the things that I'm a chameleon, so I like to act around whoever I'm with.
Right.
And that was something I learned about myself. I also am bad at giving people control of my emotions.
Yeah.
So
turning my emotions over to people.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'll act based off how somebody, because somebody has control of me.
Yeah.
So they can do something to me and it makes me act.
Right.
And, each month I was learning something new about myself. And as I was battling those and defeating those is when I started to grow.
Yeah. But one of the things that we at Next Step, and Matt is not a graduate of Next Step. So I would rather a person not have to come through Next Step. I'll be honest with you. Right. So, but he still has a great story to tell. Right. And so a lot of times we give our emotions away. I've heard guys at Next Step say, well, I'm leaving Next Step because Joe made me mad. And I'll often say, so when did Joe take control of your life? Mm-hmm. Right? So when did you give your control of emotionally give your life over to Joe? When did that happen? They kind of sit back and think, well, yeah, I'm leaving because of that guy.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. Is this your program or his program? It's your program. Right? And so a lot of times we make decisions based on how other people make us feel, and then we give them control of our lives based on how they make us feel. Mm-hmm. And it's a dangerous place to go.
It is.
Yeah. Good. And so you're struggling with drinking here, mm-hmm. right, during this time. So keep walking me through. So you had a life coach, Derek?
Yeah. Derek was my life coach. And it came to the realization that I never dealt with things from my past. I buried them down below. Yeah. And so as those things were surfacing, I realized that I hadn't grown before. I have been, prior to 2020, I have been clean for 3 years. I have been alcohol-free for 3 years. So I assumed I had victory over all of those things.
Right.
But I hadn't had true victory over those things. They were just pretty much Band-Aids that were put over. So as I was battling and defeating those things, I was learning one at a time. I can say now that I have victory over those things because if the same situation were to happen, I wouldn't be doing the same thing.
Sure. Right. And victory is also, we got to remember that sometimes we will fight the same battles over and over and over again. We just know the next time, oh, I can't do that. Yeah. I can't do that, and so victory sometimes comes, we all say, it comes one hill at a time, right? There's some hills that you have to battle. And there's some hills you may have to battle multiple times. Yeah. There's a story, it's kind of a poem almost, about a guy who's walking down the street, and he's walking down the street and he falls into a hole, right? And he gets hurt. And the next time he walks down the street and he falls into the same hole. And he's like, how did I fall into that hole again? And then he walks down the street the next time and he sees the hole and he goes, oh, there's that hole. And he walks around the hole. Yeah. Right. So the next time he's walking down the street and he says, oh, I'm going to walk on the sidewalk. Right. But the hole's still there. Exactly. He still sees it. And then the final chapter of the poem is the next time he takes a different street.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You avoid the problem completely. And, the reason I could say I've grown past that is I had a similar situation happen to me in 2022 that happened to me in 2017. And what I mean by that is after I had left Geico, I started working for State Farm with your son. Yeah. I worked for him. 3 months into there, I had realized that I've been running away from my calling of getting into ministry. Right. Graciously, your son was on board with it. He understood what I was dealing with. And so we're still very close friends to this day. Yeah. So I get a job working overnight at Chick-fil-A because Chick-fil-A has promised to pay for my school. So I worked overnight, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., going to do school during the day. Everything is working just fine until one of the people I'm working with decides to break open the safe in Chick-fil-A and steal $1,200 from the safe. They said, all right, we're getting rid of the whole team. Wow. So everybody loses their job, so I lost my job. Okay. Not even a month after that, I get into a car accident and I lose my car. So I'm back in the situation as 2017 where I've lost my job. I've lost my car. This time I don't have a broken nose, which is good.
So you went home and punched yourself in the nose?
I did. I had to recreate everything. But this time, instead of going back on what I knew before, I put my trust in God and tried something different that I've never done before, which is give him my 100% faith. And I saw rewards that I've never experienced in my entire life.
Yeah.
For example, I didn't have a job, so I couldn't pay my rent. I got two checks from people that were the exact amount that I needed to pay my rent for 2 months.
Wow.
I had somebody give me a car, paid for, tagged and titled, everything for free as a gift. I got a job at Mikado Baptist Church when I didn't have a job. It was a long 3 months. It was a very long 3 months. But it was the same situation that I had in 2017. But I can see the growth this time because I decided to give my faith to Christ instead of putting my trust in Matthew.
Right. So Romans 8:28, all things work together for good.
For good.
So even those lose my job, lose my car, all those things are working together. When I put it in God's hand, because it says all things work together for good for those who love God.
Yeah.
Not all things work together for good because of God. They do, but it's because we love God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now I can take those tragic things in my life and say, God, what are you going to do with these things?
Yeah.
What gold are you going to bring from tragedy?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, and the biggest difference between 2017 and 2022 is I now have a wife, which I didn't have before. So when you have somebody who is rooting for you as much as your wife is, it's a little bit easier to listen to God when you have that support.
A good woman will ground a man.
Yes, she will.
A good woman, a good godly woman will ground a man. The problem is sometimes in our addiction we don't chase good women.
Yeah.
And therefore we don't get to experience that. So your wife loves the Lord.
Oh yeah.
Very faithful. I've known her since she was probably in Awana.
Yeah.
And now she's grown and graduated from college and working and
married to an addict.
Yeah, and married to Matt. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, man. So got married in October.
I did. Yeah, of last year. So
yep, we had a great wedding. We were here at the church for that, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It really was, and so happy for the both of you. Yeah. So that's where you are today now. So you came through that, and Geico and certainly God showed you some things there. State Farm, God's going to show you some things there. But there's an unsettledness because this is not where you want me, God. This is not what, it pays the bills, but it's not what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's a time of sitting down, right? God sets you down for a while. He just said, Matt, let me sit you down for a little bit. Let me take your car away from you. Let me take your job away from you, Matt. Let me just take everything away from you so you can hear me and you can give me the opportunity to show you where you need to be. And you came to work at the church. How long ago? How long ago did you do that?
So the church had let me work here part-time in November when I didn't have a job. And then they offered me a full-time position in December. So I've been here since technically November of last year, but full-time since February of this year.
Okay. So almost
of 2023.
Yeah, almost a year.
Yeah.
So you've been here almost a year.
Almost a year.
Yep. Good. Yeah. So now you're here, you're in ministry, right? I mean, you might be cleaning toilets and fixing, different things and running a vacuum and painting and doing all those, but you're going to seminary, you're going to school.
I am.
Right?
Yes.
Right. You're doing those things and getting 100s and on your papers and all of that stuff. So a lot of fun, learning a lot, growing a lot, serving around here, getting to see the ins and outs of ministry, right? Isn't God good?
I can't explain it. You can't explain it. He's so good.
Right.
Yeah.
It is hard. And you can't, you talk to so many people. Sometimes people ask me, well, Todd, how do you start a recovery home for men? And I'll go, I don't know. God just did it.
Yeah.
I don't know that I can sit down and list steps to how to do it. All I know is you just start walking it and you just start doing what you think God says to do.
And he'll open the doors.
Right. And
or
he'll close the doors. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's all you can, that's the walk of faith, right? It's you take the steps, and if they're wrong, God shuts them down. And if they're right, he keeps it open.
Mm-hmm.
And you keep doing that. And sometimes there's some pain in there. And the pain isn't because you're sinning. It's just because that's not where God wants you to go. That's not the direction that I want you to go in.
Mm-hmm.
And God has used things in my life, painful things in my life, to shut me down in the direction that I was going. Not a bad direction, not a sin, but just not the direction. And you look back on that and you go, wow, man, I'm sorry I questioned you, God. Sorry I doubted you.
Yeah.
And so great. Matt, and I got a cough. If there's one thing, or not just one, but I'll say, at least one thing that you could say, to somebody who's struggling in an addiction, what would be your one thing you would say to them?
To give up. You can't do it yourself.
Yeah.
Just give up.
Good.
Stop trying so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surrender it.
Yeah.
To the Lord.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest thing to do as an addict, is to give up.
Yeah.
Is to realize that what you're doing is wrong.
Because I think I'm in control, but I'm not in control,
Yeah.
but I'm convinced I'm in control.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. And I think I look good, but I look horrible.
Yeah.
I have guys tell me that. Man, I thought I looked so good then. Now I look at pictures and I looked horrible.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah, but I thought I looked so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's tough. I think the best advice you ever gave me in my sobriety is don't count how many days you're sober. Just stay sober.
Yeah.
Don't worry about how many days.
It.
Just do it for the rest of your life. Just do it. Doesn't matter how long you've done it. Just do it.
Yeah. Just walk with God. Just watch what God can do in your life. And watch what he's doing. And I love watching your life here.
Amen.
I love watching it. I love the guy. I love Frankie, who we were just talking to.
Mm-hmm.
I love to watch. I'm watching these guys. I'm watching I think of Jesse and all who are just walking it. Just walk it. Right? Don't count it. Just walk it. Just do it. Nike, man. Just do it. just do it.
Yeah.
And don't worry about those things. Right?
Yeah.
And God will show you things, and he'll do things in your life. And the next thing you know, the next time I do this with you, Matt, you may be the pastor of a church.
Yeah.
How old are you?
28.
28. You're the same age as Andrew, my son, I think. Yeah, he's 28 years old. And you'll be the pastor of a church, or you'll be a youth pastor, or you'll be I don't know. I don't know whatever God has for you, right? Mm-hmm. But it's exciting. It's exciting. It's like, this is what I like about the walk with God. The walking with God is like Christmas Day every day.
Yeah.
I know God has something for me, and I don't know, because it's in this package, and at some point I get to open it up, and it's great. But I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part for some of us, for some people, about surrendering to God, because they want to know what it is.
Yeah. And you think back about the stories in the Bible, when you think of Joseph, he didn't realize he was going to get freed from prison until the day he got freed from prison. Right. And it's that truth, which is stop trying to figure out what God's trying to teach you, and just let him teach you. Just sit back and let him teach you.
Right. Joseph doesn't know he's going to be the most powerful man in the world.
Until he is.
Right. Until God says, here it is.
Yeah.
But he has to endure years of slavery, years of abuse, years of false accusation, years of prison.
Yeah.
Falsely. He's not in prison because he's innocent, not because he's guilty.
Of course.
Right. But he doesn't know and understand that when he unwraps that gift,
it's amazing.
He not only is he going to be the most powerful man in the modern world at that time, but he's going to save his family.
Oh,
and he's going to see this small family of 70 people grow into be a nation, and it's all because he was abused.
Yeah.
And that gift was, when it was unwrapped, it was remarkable. So, man, Matt, it's been a joy talking to you today. And if you have any questions, or you got any questions for Matt, you can certainly go to our website, and you'll find our contact information there. And if you have something for him, you want to email us, call us, and I will certainly get that to Matt, and he can be a help to you. And I'm so proud of him. And again, our website is www.nextstepmin.org. And I hope you'll take a visit there, see who we are, and give us a shout out as well. Again,
It's January. It's a very cold day here in middle Georgia. We're not used to this cold weather. We're ready for June. We hope when June gets here, we'll be going, man, when is January coming? Because it's so hot. So, but hey, happy 2024, and I hope you have a great day.